Okay, let's be real. Did y'all believe anything Cliff and Latrice said this episode? Because I sure as hell didn't. Hey, what's up and hello? This is D. Chris Nicole giving you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. And this is my review on Belle Collective Season 4 Reunion Part 2. So we start off where we left off with these ignorant fools who are professional women with successful careers going back and forth. And then finally they go into their separate rooms. And Latrice is like, what I gotta be insecure about? Your relationship, maybe? Hmm? Maybe. Then we have Letitia in her room talking to Glenn saying, I just don't know what's wrong with Latrice. And Glenn is like, you are a queen. Do not stoop down to her level and all of this other bullshit. So moving on. They get back on stage and Marie is the first one that they bring up saying how she's been very vulnerable with her life on the show, good, bad, or indifferent. And I somewhat would have to agree. I still think we need to see her therapy sessions though, because again, I truly feel like her anger and the way that she acts a lot of the time is due to the trauma that she experienced with her mother. And Marie, in my opinion, is very controlling. And when she can not control a situation or control a person, she goes back to that little girl that felt abandoned or was abandoned by her mother. That is my personal opinion on the situation. I feel like at the end of the day, that is something that she needs to work on because she even showed that again in this episode, and I'll talk about it. But Carlos was saying that people call her a bully, and she says she's a bully for the truth. Um, you got mean girl tendencies, like you do. You can be a mean girl, but I would say that your mean girl vibes are due to your trauma versus how some people, their mean girl vibes come from their insecurity and they want people to feel like, people are beneath them. Latrice. So moving on. So at that point, when Marie says she's a bully for the truth, Carlos messy ass says, well, who do you feel doesn't clock in for their job and give their truth? Who do you feel doesn't do that? Of course, she mentions Tambra. And then she says Latrice just started clocking in. And I'm shocked as hell that she said that Latrice just started clocking in. I'm shocked that she gave her some props. So then they talk about Tambra's baby, who is so cute. I think her name is London Simone. And we find out that Marie is the one who told everyone that Tambra was pregnant. And Tambra was upset because she said production kept telling her to keep it on the hush. And then to find out that Marie ran her mouth and Tambra couldn't tell her own story and her own, blessing, she had a problem with that. And rightfully so. She should definitely have a problem with that. Now, side note, Carlos said, asked her about Damon, if the baby has Damon's last name. And Tambra said no. And Carlos said, the baby don't have Damon's last name? And she said, no, we weren't married at the time. At the time. And so Carlos said, well, are you married now? She paused and she looked up and then she said, no. Y'all believe her? Because y'all know Tambra good with lying now. Do y'all really believe her? Look at her body language when she says that. Look at it. Because she's secretive as hell. I don't know, y'all. Y'all let me know in the comments. So then Marie claims that she didn't know that Tambra's pregnancy was a secret. But here's my problem. This is what I was just talking about. Instead of Marie saying, look, I did not know her pregnancy was a secret, but Tambra, you are right. I would feel the same way too, especially at your age and the health scare that you had. So my apologies for that. That's what she should have said. But no, Marie, Marie had to sit up there and stand 10 toes down on her ignorance and not apologize. And she like, you coming around us, coming around the Bells, putting your life in danger, not telling us, hell, I felt my life was in danger. What? How in the hell was your life in danger? And see, this is what I'm talking about with Marie. And here's the thing. There's several people on this cast that do not know how to apologize. They always think they're right. They will stand 10 toes down on their ignorance. But in this situation where you are dealing with a high risk pregnancy, Marie is an educated woman. She knows Tambra's age. She knows that she's high risk. That was not your place to tell anyone. Period. You know how sacred pregnancy is. That wasn't your place. But instead of being humbled and apologize and just say, look, I apologize, that wasn't my intent. No, she stand 10 toes down and try to make it seem like she a victim in a situation, saying she felt like her life was in danger. Girl, sit your ass down. So Tambra actually started to defend herself instead of leaving the stage or leaving the scene or shutting down. And I was like, okay, Tambra, I see you finally defending yourself. And lo and behold, as soon as I said that, Akeisha was like, hell, I'm just glad she defended herself. And Carlos even had to laugh. And I was like, I agree, Akeisha, because you know she real quick to shut down and she don't want to say anything. But she started to defend herself. So we'll see how this goes. I still think she needs to be a little bit more open. You're on a damn reality show. Like at a certain point, you know, we tired of you holding on to everything. But moving on. So the men come on the stage, and of course, JJ had to show off with his country self with this I don't even know how to say it. Garn darn it, that's written on his head. And then he gave Carlos a garn darn it t-shirt, child. I can't even say it properly. But anyways, so they asked Tambra, where's Damon? And they said that Damon is with the baby. And so they were like, well, how old is the baby? And Tambra forgot how old the baby was. And I was like, what the hell? But I forget, you know, there's pregnancy brain and people forget and all of that stuff. So she gets a pass for that. But moving on. So the rest of the episode was about Cliff's sorry ass. Cliff. And so, in my opinion, Carlos wasn't asking the right questions. He did ask about, has he called her a bitch before, or the fact that he called her a bitch, did he apologize? My whole thing is this: if he was willing to call her that word in front of cameras when he know production was there, what the hell do you think he's calling her when cameras aren't there and they're behind closed doors? And Latrice, of course, is like, well, a woman who is actually in a DV situation on the physical side. Now, she's talking about the physical side. A woman that's in a DV situation, she's going to be trying to cover up her bruises and stuff like that. And I'm like, first of all, let's be clear. A very calculated DV situation, they may do things where you have those scars, you can easily cover them up. But also, why are people not remembering that there is mental DV as well? Mental. So no one was really going into that side of it. They were talking about the physical side of it. And so I felt like Carlos really didn't dig deep on that. Like, does he belittle you? Does he not value you? Does he make it seem like you're not worth it, or, you're not worthy? Because honestly, Latrice, your eyes are soulless, like, period. Like, everyone who has any type of discernment sees the sadness in her eyes, and there's a lack of life in her eyes. It's just, and she tries to make it seem like that's not the case. People can see it. People can see it, you know what I mean? And so with that, in my opinion, some of the things that she said in this episode just really shows like who's really the hater here, because she kept projecting on the other girls and including them in the conversation. And my whole thing is, if Carlos is asking you a question directly, he's talking to you. So, like, for example, when Carlos asked her about DV and things like that, Latrice is like, I am fine. I feel safe. And you know what I'm saying? I am in a great relationship, unlike some of these women who have been in worse situations. And I'm like, no one told you to say anything about them. No one even asked you about them. Why are you bringing them up? Why are you bringing them up? And then literally, she also said that some of the women on that stage have been in DV situations. And a couple of them was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I'm trying to figure out who you talking about. And even Akeisha was like, I'm trying to figure out half, because she said more than half of the people. She's like, I'm trying to count half. Because like Akeisha was pretty much trying to say, you a lie over here. I ain't never been in a situation like that. That's the way she looked. And so at that point, when she says that, she continues to want to mention the girls again. And Letitia was like, why are you bringing us up? I don't care about this situation. Like, why do you keep bringing us up? And I agree. If you claim that it's always the women bring you up, when the women bring you up, they are getting, like, it's a direct question, or you are the topic of conversation. They were not the topic of a conversation. That was about you and your husband. And yet you wanted to continue to bring them up. So I'm like, who's the real hater here? Because if you really are not hating on these women and you feel like they're hating on you, you wouldn't want to mention them at all. So the fact that she kept mentioning them, I was like, child, you projecting. You are projecting your insecurities on these women, period. So then Carlos asked the ladies if they had heard anything about Cliff and a DV situation. And before Akeisha can even get everything out that she wanted to say, of course, Cliff interrupts her and Latrice chimes in my opinion, all signs of being guilty and insecure as hell. And he's like, if she was in a situation, she would call the police. And Akeisha was like, I've known people who've been in DV situations for 30 years and they've never called the police. And so Latrice is like, well, this ain't that situation. Then Carlos asked him if he married Latrice or married her because she's a younger woman and he can easily control her. And Cliff actually dropped some tea and said that he didn't even want to get married. Latrice was pressuring marriage. He was single doing his thing, but he loved her and he went for what she wanted. And baby, the way Latrice kept looking at him when he was saying that, she was looking at him like, please shut the hell up. She kept looking like, can you stop talking? Even so, Gucci and Marie had to look at each other and was like, oh, this is interesting. So yeah, I was like, oh, that's interesting, Cliff. Go ahead and keep talking. Yeah, keep talking, Cliff. So then Carlos asked Letitia, look, at one point you were the closest one to Latrice. Has she told you stuff about Cliff's, DV, or, what she's having issues with Cliff? And she said, unlike Latrice, I will keep to myself the conversations we have had about Cliff and her relationship and my relationship with Glenn. I will keep that between her and I. And I said, you know what? That's some real shit right there. Because if you are someone with true integrity, morals, and you value friendship, like at the end of the day, even if you end up not being friends with that person, in confidence, if someone told you something in confidence, and just because you're no longer friends, that information should always stay with you. It should not be spread around. So I respect Letitia for that. I know she threw some shade when she said unlike Latrice, because the reality is, yeah, if Latrice is running her mouth about stuff that she told Latrice about Glenn, that's foul. But I like the fact that Letitia didn't just air everything out. She was like, no, I'm going to keep it to myself. But at the same time, saying she's going to keep it to herself, we clearly know something is there, because Letitia even said in the last episode, I will destroy you with your truth. So at the end of the day, it definitely feels like something is there, in my opinion. So Carlos finally asked Latrice, does she feel safe? And she said yes. She's like, I do feel safe. And then, of course, she mentions the girls again, saying that she's in a better relationship or in a better place than most of these women. She's in a better situation than what they're going through. And I was like, you keep mentioning these women, and he's asking you a question directly about your relationship. Interesting, y'all. All of you Latrice fans, if she truly don't care about these women and they all hating on her, why does she keep bringing them up? Let me know. Let me know what you think about that. Because she kept bringing them up, not the other way around. So then Joshy comes on stage, and Cliff can't keep his mouth shut as soon as he sees Joshy, saying that if he had his way, Joshy wouldn't even be there, if he had something to do with it. And Joshy says that Latrice would say things to him, and low key, he feels like Latrice wanted him to say stuff to Cliff so her and Cliff can have a real conversation. And I said, well, damn it, that's abuse right there, in my opinion. Like that is the lack of communication there, where you feel like you need a third party to have a real conversation with your husband. What kind of marriage is that? Hell, what kind of friendship relationship is that? So then Joshy says that he has never seen anything that will make him question Latrice's safety, but he doesn't like the way that Cliff talks to her. Again, the mental DV. You know what I mean? Like the mental in that. You know what I mean? Like definitely. And a lot of times it starts with that first. You know what I mean? That's typically how it starts. So Cliff and Joshy go at it, and Joshy is over it, and he's over walking on eggshells when it comes to Cliff. He even tells him, like, shut up and let me talk. And, you know, at that point, Latrice is saying that she feels like their beef, you know, is toxic and it's unfair to her. And I'm like, you're the one who created this BS. You ran your mouth to your friend. You allowed that friend to come into your house, and that friend, he did, in my opinion, overstep his boundaries. But again, to me, the fact that he was allowed to say that and Latrice didn't say anything, I'm starting to believe Joshy on the fact that Latrice wanted him to say those things because she is afraid to tell Cliff herself, in my opinion. So then, when they're going back and forth, Cliff and Josh, I think they call him Joshy, but I'm tired of calling him Joshy. When they're going back and forth, Cliff compares Josh to a damn dog. And then when people was like, don't call him a chihuahua, like, don't call him no dog. And then, child, I guess he tries to clean it up, but his accent is so thick. I didn't know what the hell his ass was saying. I was like, huh? I guess he was trying to, quote unquote, clean it up. Joshy says that him and Latrice don't communicate like they used to, and he doesn't think it will ever be the same again, and he begins to cry. And it kind of hurt me because I know what it's like, and I think a lot of us know what it's like when a friendship ends and you can't do anything about it, but you really care for that person. I think Joshy needs to accept the fact, in my opinion, that he was more of a friend to Latrice than Latrice was a friend to him. She may care about him to a certain extent, but at the same time, I don't know. You guys know my opinion on Latrice. I don't think Latrice is a friend to anyone. I don't. I think every situation, every person in her life is about opportunity and her getting ahead. That is my personal opinion. And maybe Joshy realizes that, which is why he's so hurt, because he said they're not the same and he doesn't think they're ever going to be the same. And when he's crying, Carlos and Akeisha go over there to talk to him. And then Latrice gets up and to act like she's crying, and she's like, fix your face, you know, let's go, or whatever the case may be. And the whole entire time, the green-eyed bandit bitch is sitting up there looking with kind of a smirk on his face and acting like he has nothing to say. He apologized to Joshy, but at the same time, it's hard to accept an apology when you at the same time continue to keep talking shit to that person. at the same time. Like, he apologized, and then after that, a couple of minutes later, he compared him to a dog. So what was the apology for? And I think that's why Josh was like, I don't accept his apology. Like, he's just saying it right now. So with that being said, that was the end of the episode. Look, I guess people who are Team Latrice can say that Latrice is carrying this show and her drama when it comes to Cliff. I personally don't think she wants this type of drama, though. I think the reason why she would rather just call people haters than really evaluate her life and see what's going on in her life and look in the mirror. That's my personal opinion, because if you were so comfortable with being the villain, you wouldn't be crying all the time. Because again, when she got into it with Marie, she started crying. I'm like, why are you crying? And again, people can get really upset when they start to cry. But to me, that cry wasn't a cry of, I'm so angry, I'm about to like bulldoze my way through all of these people. It was more like she's holding stuff in. And so with that being said, that's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.